think because I'm a girl and I'm throwing a boy, I think people find that really funny, and like you can pick them up and you're like, oh, that's what jiu-jitsu is.
Yep. That's what we do. You can do that
and
too.
they're like, do you train with guys? And I'm like, pretty much all my training partners are, apart from Nikki, and you know.
How does that go, by the way? Is it hard to find many females to train jiu-jitsu, and then better girls to train with for jiu-jitsu?
I think like training with girls for me is the ideal. I think I get better quicker, because also too, even if say there's 10 kilos difference, it's so different than if there's 10 kilos difference between you and a man, because the strength is just so different and uncomparable. So yeah, I definitely, now I have like a few girls and even white belt girls to train with. That's really, really amazing. And we have some really good white belts. So that's like, yeah, super awesome, and blue belts. And like I'm really lucky, you know, Nikki, Hope and Jess and like a few females that I've had the chance to work with. And that's sort of helped me the most, because also women sort of fight a little bit different. So when you compete, it's much easier because you're so used to the way that the fight is going to go. If you looked at like, say, female lightweights competing versus like male lightweights competing, it looks very different. So yeah, I definitely think training with females is my ideal, but sometimes they no gi, you know, there's like one other girl or there's no one. You're like, well,
I've got no choice.
I guess training with guys is great. So it definitely makes a big difference, because yeah, there's usually like, so I weigh about 65 kilos, and I think most guys, and I don't know if this is true, I could be lying, around 75, 80, 85 kilos and up.
Depending on the gym. If we look at immersion particularly, there's a difference between Glen Waverley and Ringwood. Laugh between Lee and Dave, going the A3 size gis are at Ringwood, and the A2, A1s are at
Everyone's so
Glen
big.
Waverley. So different. How does this work out?
Why do all the giants hang out all the time at Ringwood? Yeah.
Which is like close home for you.
Yeah, I know.
And then you still beat them up.
Yeah, but it's definitely like, it's one of those things too where you might wrestle very different when there's someone big. Like, okay, maybe you play guard, but you sweep them really quick because you just don't want to like hang and be crushed on the bottom. So maybe you're like focusing on passing, or maybe you're just like, you know what, I have to stay on top the entire time. If I'm on underneath, I'm going to lose. Like if someone is over 85 kilos, I'm like, I really need to stay on top. This is what I need to do. Otherwise I'm going to be crushed, and like, you're like, oh, my ribs, my hip bones, everything's so sore. So I think, yeah, I really enjoy training with females, but and I've only really recently, because in the beginning when I was doing MMA, which attracted even less females than jiu-jitsu, it was like my only training partners were men for the first few years. So I was like, if I got to train with a girl, I'd be like, oh, I'm so excited. And my coach would just be like, no, sorry, you guys can't go together. You're going to train with the boys. You know, she's new. You know, it's not happening. And I'm like, I'll be nice. Yeah, I'll be nice and I'm good. And I just need a female. I haven't, or even too, you know, if you're training a lot and you're around guys all the time, sometimes you're like, I just need a girl to talk to. So I love training with girls, but yeah, I've learnt a lot from training with men too. Yeah.
Did girls still find it hard to come into the gym for jiu-jitsu? Is the mindset of a lot of females not to train a martial art? Is that changing?
I think it's changing. Yeah, I think also too, it's a bit cooler now. Like I think in the beginning, so I was like 19 when I started doing judo and jiu-jitsu again. I'd done it when I was a kid. It was a bit of like, grappling wasn't like cool, you know, it wasn't. And now it's like, oh, UFC, Ronda Rousey, Ninja, like it's kind of, it's more cool now. It's a bit more fun. And I think for guys and girls, so jiu-jitsu has become more popular. And I think that, you know, you have CrossFit and you have that idea of like women training really hard and that being cool and not feminine, you know, because people will be like, oh, do you worry about your face? Like I get that so often, and you're like, no, I don't worry about my face. Like leave me be. I think especially when I did MMA, or like, you know, just those little, like it's not girly, it's not a pretty, and it's not a pretty sport. Like, you know, it's not a cute sport. And I think now it's like, women have always loved to do sport, and I think more and more, especially probably because social media, we see more women doing sport and we see them like achieving in sport, and we're like, that's really cool. So I think it's cooler now for the most part. I think it's cool. I'm going to tell people it's cool. It's super cool.
Fantastic.
It's the coolest.
And when you have kids, especially girls, you push them into a martial art to go, that's how to protect yourself. I can't protect you at all times. You're doing it for that reason, whether you like it or not.
As my dad.
A bit like swimming, you need to learn how to swim to save yourself. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. My dad was... He was like, yeah, you're going to do judo, and this is how you put someone on their back, and that's good.
And then run.
Run fast. Yeah, so he taught me, like my dad, introduced me to it when I was, I don't know, I might have been like 10 or 11 or something like that. And it was really cool. It's a fun party trick to be able to throw someone or do something like that. So when you're a teenager, you're sort of like, you just walk around a little bit like, I can handle my body a little bit. That's nice. It's like swimming. It's like, you know, you just feel a little bit more confident when you're in a pool, or you just, it's a kind of a life skill, I think. And that's why I think sport, just not even jiu-jitsu, but just sport on the whole is important.